That's
Thank
sure
you.
did. Welcome, Carlin. And we're just asking those of you that are coming in now just to share your name and your role and organization and for fun because we're chilly everywhere across the US today. How tall was your tallest snowman you ever built? A few 5-footers, Brendan, recently? Solid.
Unfortunately, I was with a bunch of second graders, so it was a little rough on the back. Was the only adult.
That what we liken that to in South Florida would be sand castles, you know. You stand up
Mm,
and you're a little sore after trying to dig up the sand.
nice.
Awesome. Well, welcome everybody. We're so happy to have you. We got a lot of five foot tall ones there, Dave. So I don't know. I think who took the cake? There was somebody that did a 6 foot. Oh, it was Brendan. You saw, okay, so Brendan takes the cake. All right. Well, we want to jump right in because we have a lot of great topics, a lot of good content up for you today. And I'm sure you're here because you saw that Tech for Good. You heard about that digital sustainability topic, and we've got a lot of it. So we've got focus for today is really going to be split up. We've got some experts on the call that we're going to introduce in a second. And our focus really is about considering our educational digital footprint. This is an opportunity for us to all create improvements, in our environment and something that we definitely tackle on a daily basis, right? We're going to take a few moments to review strategies related to our digital footprint. We'll tell you there's going to be some really great tips that are shared today and some that we can actually put into practice immediately. And then really think about how do you systemize behavior change over time so that these changes really are sustainable over time and something that's not just a one-time fix. So we are going to go into these topics in just a moment. I do want to remind you of what's coming up next, just so you can already be putting this on your radar. For those of you that are already signed up and you've got your flights or your travel plans in place, we are excited to see you in San Diego in just a couple of weeks from February 17th through the 19th at the Green Schools Conference. And we also have a Catalyst Leaders meeting coming up that we'll talk about at the end of the session. But let's dive right in. So usually we bring in some guests that are outside, and we ask those folks to come on in and join us to share. But today, our special guests are not guests at all. They're actually all family. And we have up today, and you can go right to the next slide so we can there it is. Drum roll. And our special guests, like I said, are actually our family. It is our GSNN folks, our experts right here in the building. We have John Brazil, who's our technology specialist that's going to be sharing with us. We have Tatiana Alfaro, who's our marketing outreach coordinator, who does amazing things in the digital world and digital marketing. And none other than Dave Den Hartog, who you all know, manager of academics, partnerships, and strategy. And like I said, these folks have a lot of great intel, a lot of great information to share today. We're going to dive right in, and I'm going to hand it right off to Dave.
Thank you, Sarah. Yeah, I'm excited about what both John and Tatiana have to share with us today as well. Um, I'm gonna start us off with um, well, let me jump over to this. I have a brief survey that I have for you all that I want people to take a little bit of time with and just thinking about we do a lot of different things within our organizations. Either use this QR code or you can go to menti.com and type in this code, um, 2102 Either way can work. And just fill out this very brief survey. And as we do that, then we can just talk about prioritizing and then coming back to this point around digital sustainability and tech for good and listen to our experts related to that. But just start with going to this briefly and filling the survey out, and we'll talk briefly about that. I'm going to stop sharing this part and bring up the survey. Thank you, folks, for filling that out briefly, taking a minute to do that. Once again, we'll put the link, if you're not seeing it, into the chat so that you have that. All right, I'm going to share just a little bit of the responses. Go ahead and keep filling the survey out. It's very quick, just one question. Um, but I thought I'd share this with you, show you how people are responding. How would you rate these for level of importance? So you can see with our group today that we have that top one being physically emotional, facility, high quality academic lesson. So thank you for filling that out. Those of you have, if you haven't, you can continue to do that. I was curious about where these things might lie in your current today at this moment level of importance. But partly why I do this survey is just recognizing that we as educators have a lot of priorities and there's a lot of competing things that we're often thinking about. And these are just a few of these. And we try to be strategic about how to get to all of these things. And tech for good is one of those things, right? Our digital sustainability. And in my role, I just briefly mentioned that, um, it's really thinking about this word strategic and what does that actually mean? And what does it look like? And how can we think about that differently? So I just want to pull up, coming back to our slides and thinking about what that thinking about strategic, what that means. And for us at GSNN, as we think about this work, um, we think through this lens of both being number one, being aware. So being conscious and being thoughtful, and that's part of what we want to bring up for you all today, being intentional with the way that we're being focused. So when we think of that word strategic, we're thinking about these things. We're also being calculating. How are we really thinking about data and strategizing around that? And finally, how are we being collaborative? So the word strategic is used all the time, but sometimes it's not necessarily clear what people are thinking about. And these four things, as we could dive into this world of digital sustainability, should be at the forefront. And you're going to hear both Tati and John kind of speak to elements of these. Part of, for me, in the learning with them was raising my awareness and then being intentional, being calculating how is this actually impacting what we're doing around sustainability, and how are we collaborating with others to help share and to scale and elevate this work. So with that in mind and being strategic, I want to turn it over to our guests and our experts, and not necessarily our guests, like Sarah pointed out, but our family. And we're going to start with Tatiana. She's going to share a little bit about, I'm sorry, we're going to start with John. Sorry about that, John. We're going to start with John, our technology specialist, has been around Green Schools National Network basically from our beginning, knows us forward and backward, and we're so fortunate to have him be a partner in this work with us. And he is a true expert. He's done a lot of work in this area, so we're just touching on a tiny minutia of John's knowledge, but fortunately we can tap into that today. So, John, jump in. Thank you for being here with us. Help lead us into, what does this actually give us a couple sense of what you're going to talk about today and where that digital sustainability could live within the context of some of these areas for our folks on our call today.
Thanks, Dave. Yeah, I want to focus on actionable steps in two key areas, our browser habits and our phone settings. The information and communication technology sector now accounts for between 2 and 4% of greenhouse gas emissions, which is about the same as the entire airline industry. And with artificial intelligence and cryptocurrency and everybody streaming everything, that's going up fast. But making these small changes collectively can have a massive impact. And we'll start with web browsers. Would you change the slide, please?
John, say those numbers again, real quick, the data piece you just said.
2 to 4% of global greenhouse gas emissions are now the information communications sector. And it's the exact same right now as the airline industry overall. And it's growing a lot faster than the airline industry.
Yeah, that's such an important piece. And that helps frame the why behind why we're talking about this today.
Yeah, the first thing I want to talk about is web browsers. Web browsers are our gateways to our digital work and leisure. And one of the big things that impacts energy is tabs. And I'm sure if we're all honest, we all have at least a dozen tabs open right now. It's just kind of the way we work now. But good ways to fix this problem is declaring tab bankruptcy, which sounds really dramatic, but you just close the tabs you're not using. Lots of browsers have lots of browser extensions that are good for managing this, like OneTab. I put together a list in a PDF, which I can put into the chat, which lists out all of the different browser extensions and what helps you manage these things. I know for me personally, if I'm working on a big project and then let's say I have 10 tabs that I need to frequently access, what I'll do is I'll go up to bookmarks and I'll bookmark all my tabs into a folder. That way I can go and I can click on them individually when I need them. If you have tabs open in your browser, that's constantly stealing energy from your computer. Your CPU and your RAM need to work. And then each tab will send a stay alive signal back to the web server that's hosting it. So every 15 minutes or 1 minute, each tab will actually use resources both on your computer and in a server farm somewhere. So the implications are pretty big. Another approach is if the first thing you see when you open your browser is a Google search bar and you need to go to Facebook or you need to go to Gmail, don't type it right into that search bar because what that's doing is it's just a cascade of data that's going from server farm to server farm. Just typing Facebook or Gmail into your bar is a much less energy intensive way to go about getting to your destination, and just bookmarking things versus leaving tabs open is a great solution for that as well. Most browsers also have something called memory saver or energy saver in your browser settings, where you can go through and it will actually suspend those tabs. So they'll get grayed out, which means they won't be continuously talking to the server and eating resources. Also a good way to help manage the energy in our browsers. On an individual basis, this stuff is not taking tons of energy, but when you scale these things out to hundreds of employees or thousands of users or millions of users, it's pretty substantial energy usage.
John, that's such a good point, that last one, because we're a relatively small group during this current right now community of practice. But part of our hope is that you bring some of these ideas and practices forward to your larger organizations and really try to make impactful, scalable, and they might be just small things. But these things add up with all the different users that each of you are connected to within your district or school or where you work. Thanks, John. Next slide.
Yeah, you can go to the next slide. When it comes to browsers, beyond the tabs, the type of data we're consuming is also very important, and Tati's gonna focus on that. Before she does, I want to talk to you about your mobile phones. Our mobile phones are now designed to keep us glued to them, and we're all spending, I'm sure, way too much time on them. And while a battery doesn't hold that much energy, every time we charge it, it pulls energy from the grid, and it degrades the lithium ion battery, which lives in our phones, which is just a reinforced tinfoil bag of volatile chemicals. And there's a whole e-waste issue that's not talked about very much. So it's not just carbon footprint, it is the e-waste issue. The biggest battery drain on our phones is our displays. If you've been shopping for a TV recently, you'll see there are all these technologies like mini LED, QLED, LCD. All of our phones have something called OLED in them. And the reason for that is because they take up less energy. Each pixel is individually lit and powered. So when you are looking at black, it's off. There's zero energy consumption. Um, One of the biggest factors is brightness. Most people don't think about this when they're using their phone, but your brightness is probably higher than it needs to be. And the brightness of the phone can account for just under 50% of the overall battery.
Hmm.
So when you're outside, if you look at your phone and it doesn't need to be as bright as it is, turn it down. And if you're inside, definitely turn it down. And if you're laying in bed scrolling before you go to sleep, turn it down as low as you can because not only is it sucking energy, it's not great for your eyes.
Hmm.
Most phones now have a dark mode. And I would encourage everyone, normally on a webinar, I wouldn't say pull your phone out, but pull your phone out and go through these settings right now. This is all found under the settings app and then screen and brightness. Dark mode. All of our phones have a dark mode now. That will change all the background from being white to black, and it consumes a lot less energy. And then timeout, which is also found in the settings app under display and brightness. Your phone doesn't need to stay awake screen for 2 to 5 minutes after you put it down. That can be switched to 30 seconds. The phone will turn right back on when you pick it up again.
John, these are all excellent. I appreciate these little things. Actually, I just turned mine to dark, so we're good on that. Um, And part of the point again, and just to help keep reiterating this, it's not just for this group that's in this meeting today to do this, but how can you spread the word to other people? And that's part of what we'll talk about when we do our breakout rooms is some strategies that you might think of, how we help people be more aware, intent, calculating, and collaborative to do the things that John is sharing and some of the things Tati is sharing as well.
Yeah,
Thank
and
uh,
I intentionally put that PDF together with instructions for everything I'm going to go through, and I would encourage you to share it with everybody because individually, not big deal. Saving, having to charge your phone, 15% less is always nice, and 15% less energy is also great. But share that resource with as many people as possible because collectively, this is where this makes a huge impact.
John, there's a question in the chat. It said you mentioned data centers. What about AI in schools? Schools are buying subscriptions to tools like Magic School or School AI. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, this is all going to be a big negative for the environment and for greenhouse gas emissions. The data center deployment they call it hyperscaling now. It's moving so rapidly. Um, Mitigating is the best you can do. Use as little as possible as far as any software and AI. Yeah, AI is a big power drain. We're not focused really on AI at the moment, but
Yeah, I would add to that, Sarah. We thought a lot about whether we were going to include an AI discussion within this particular community practice, and we decided not to because it itself is worthy of probably multiple community of practice discussions. And we just know the impact that AI is having on water and on energy, and the fact that technology companies are intending, and some have already succeeded in buying energy companies tells you where this is going in that regard. So it's a whole topic in itself, but to John's point, limiting things is a good practice to have no matter what we're talking about. Um, Thanks,
you go to
John.
the next slide, please.
Yeah.
Yeah, the second biggest section when it comes to our mobile devices is connectivity and background data. This is all stuff that we don't really think about. Wi-Fi versus cellular. Cellular is always going to take a substantial amount more energy than Wi-Fi. And the distance between you and the cell tower also makes a big difference. So if you're in a rural area and you're a mile away from a cell tower, the amount of energy that's going to take that requires from your phone to get that signal is a lot more. The best practice here would be if you have a big download, whether it's an app update, a software update, or even streaming a big high quality video, try to do it on your Wi-Fi. It saves a great deal of battery life on your phone, and then we're really focused on phones, but there's always something on the other end. There's always a data center somewhere that's got a massive HVAC system and racks of hard drives and just servers that just have to run to make all this stuff happen.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, go to the next slide, please. Notifications. That got a little messed up. Notifications. I've realized that most people don't understand how the notifications on our phone works. This is a 60,000 square foot data center located north of Charlotte in North Carolina. It was built by Apple with the exclusive purpose of serving you push notifications. And while I was putting this slide together yesterday, I got a push notification for this very webinar. And while this push notification came from the calendar on my phone, it absolutely had to go through this data center. So if you get a chance, go into your phone, go settings, go notifications, just go through the list of things. If you don't need to get an alert right away, turn it off, because not only does this data center have to turn on, not only does an HVAC unit have to go, your phone is going to vibrate, it's going to light up, and it also turns on all of the radio antennas in your phone when you get a notification. So less notifications, the better. And there's been a lot of studies about notifications on human health, and it's shown that it does not help our dopamine and the way our brains process dopamine. They equate it to a casino. So in addition to the carbon issue and the greenhouse gases, the human brain is also being affected by these things.
Good point. Thank you.
Yeah, if it's not absolutely necessary, turn it off. And the last thing, as far as connectivity goes, is background app refresh. Most people aren't aware of this setting in their phone. If you have your phone on you now, go in here, settings, general, background app refresh, and turn it off. What background app refresh does is it allows every single app that is on your phone to access its server and all of the data on your phone all of the time. This uses about 200 milliwatt hours a day, which represents 5 to 15% of your battery life, which depending on your phone. So turning this off will, save you 10 to 15 or 5 to 15% of your battery life, require 5 to 15% less charging, and then the battery factor. These batteries, lithium ion batteries, are rated by cycles. A cycle is charging it up to 100% and then draining it all the way down to zero. They have a life, so it's only good for a certain amount of cycles. So the less we're using our batteries, the longer they last. Another interesting thing about background app refresh is when people suspect their phone is listening to them, it's not. It's background app refresh. If you're on Facebook and you have Twitter open, Facebook knows everything you're doing on Twitter, vice versa. That applies to all of the apps on your phone. Background app refresh allows any of those apps to access anything on your phone while you're sleeping at any point in time.
Thanks,
So,
John. I've made 2 changes already.
Me too. John, quick question.
yes.
How does that associate with cookies? We're always accepting the cookies. Does that have any relation to that with collection of information?
No, cookies are basically web browser based only. When you visit a website, it'll put a cookie in your web browser. That way, if you go to another tab and then you go back, it'll keep you logged in or it'll save your preferences. It's always good to clear out your cookies. I didn't even really consider that. That does have a greenhouse gas, that has an emissions impact for sure, the cookies and the privacy impact, but that's really in your browser. And a lot of browsers now have it so when you close your browser, it will automatically clear out your cookies. I recommend going into your browser settings and changing that.
Hmm. Thank you, John.
Yeah, I got really nerdy with the background app refresh data, finding out how much battery it uses. So I wanted to find out one person, not a big deal. But if you calculate this out, 20 people turning off background app refresh, and I'm just talking about background app refresh, nothing else we've spoken about. That's a refrigerator for 24 hours. 20 people.
Hmm.
5.5 billion phones in the world.
Hmm.
Everyone turns off background app refresh. That's a small city for an entire year being powered. 55,000 homes, which
Hmm.
is insane. Thinking most people don't even know this setting exists in their phone.
Hmm.
That can replace almost 100 wind turbines and prevent 250,000 tons of CO2, which is the equivalent to taking 66,000 cars off the road.
Hmm.
Just the background app refresh.
Hmm. Wow. Thanks, John. That's powerful, especially
Yeah, it
thinking
was
exponentially.
enlightening. Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, at scale, this stuff is all
Mhm.
very, very calculable. You can go to the next slide. E-waste. This is something that is even hard to get really good data on. All of our phones get, very few of them get recycled. It's about 22% of them are actually recycled. The rest of them get put on a boat, shipped to China to sit in a landfill. And that boat also takes, gas. It's also polluting. 62 million tons of waste in 2022, 5 million tons of phones.
Mhm.
People are changing their phones every year. This is completely unnecessary. An iPhone improves about 3% a year. Even waiting every other year, you're getting very incremental upgrades. I personally try to do 3 to 4 years for every new phone. When you do that, when you get a new phone, it actually feels like new technology, which is cool.
Mhm.
But it also takes quite a bit of energy to make a phone, the equivalent of driving 250 miles,
Mhm.
which is, again, was surprising to read. And then the pollution from the e-waste. These things are leaking lead, mercury, and cadmium into the soil and the groundwater, which is tragic.
Mhm.
So if you're getting a new phone, try to hold on to your phone for 4 years. You just cut the impact in half. Donate it, resell it, let someone else use it. You don't need to throw it away. If you're returning your phone for a trade-in, if you can do it through Apple, that's the way to go. Apple has developed a robot that will pick each individual part out of the phone and recycle it to, I can't remember what the percentage is, something over 80% of recycled components in the phone, which is incredible. And they're the only manufacturer, unfortunately, who's doing that. Um, and if you trade it in with your Verizon or your T-Mobile or your service provider, I could not hunt down where those end up. I have a feeling they end up in a landfill.
Mhm.
And buying a refurbished phone. If you don't need the latest and greatest, get a refurbished phone. I've done that in the past.
Mhm.
Um, Batteries
Great.
so they feel new. Yeah, and in summary, all these points, this digital sustainability has to start with us. It has to. These tech companies, as we all know, they care about one thing, and that's money. The we spend 500 to 600 billion dollars a year on phones,
Mhm.
which is astronomical.
Mhm. And you said, John, that the average time that someone has a phone is 2 years right now.
Yes, correct.
And that's a crazy thinking, like 5.5 billion phones out there. Wow. So just extending that a year or 2 years is going to make a big difference. Wow. Thank you, John. That's tons of good information. I appreciate you sharing all those things. And yeah, we're just tipping the iceberg with John's background and knowledge. But thanks for being on, sharing these things, and thanks for the PDF as well that shared with everybody.
Yeah, please share that with everybody, especially if you have young people. Young people aren't very aware of these little
Mhm.
phone settings.
Mhm. Thanks. We're going to shift to another one of our family members, Tatiana Alfaro, who will share a little bit more about this tech for good and sustainability, digital sustainability. And she's going to take a little bit different angle. And so, Tati, welcome. We're excited to hear from
Hi,
you.
everyone.
Yeah, please jump in and share some of the things that you have to offer.
Yeah, great. Okay, thank you so much, Dave. And hi, everyone. I'm Tati. And for my part of today's conversation, I'll focus on something very practical, and it's how everyday digital communication choices like newsletters, social media posts, and websites connect to sustainability. This is meant just as an introduction, not a checklist, because this is a journey full of learning. And even though these examples come from a communications or marketing context, many of these ideas can be applied to personal digital habits, classroom conversations, or school-wide communication practices. So, building on John's insights as we introduce this section, it's important to remember that digital doesn't mean immaterial. And every email, video, or website interaction relies on physical infrastructure. So, digital choices are part of sustainability, even when the impact is invisible. And as you can see here in the diagram I'm sharing, this helps us to visualize where digital impact really comes from. It's not only about data centers that I know we've been discussing that worldwide in terms of AI, but as you can see, these also include devices and connectivity networks. So sustainability in digital spaces isn't about like one single action. It's distributed across systems and everyday use.
Mm.
Let's go to the next slide. And yeah, as John mentioned previously, the ICT digital sector also contributes to greenhouse gas emissions. And John already shared that info with you guys, so I'm just gonna skip it. You can actually check upon the blue icon once you get the presentation. You can check that up. I added there the link for
Mm.
that study. So let's go
Nice.
to the next slide.
Thanks, Tati. It just what you just said, I just wanted to emphasize that we
Yeah.
will share not only this slide deck with you and the recording and all these resources as a follow-up so that you can have them for yourself, but also share them with other people too.
Yes, exactly. So the impact is real, guys. And what matters here is that this impact is distributed because digital systems are used constantly and at scale. And small everyday choices, really like lighter content, fewer files, and more intentional format can meaningfully reduce energy use and emissions over time. And why is that? Because all of the things that John explained to us previously, all the digital activity we do, basically ends up adding to energy use, CO2 emissions, and water use for cooling data centers. So, mentioning that, let's jump into the more practical examples I bring today for all of you. And we're starting right now with newsletters and email. Emails are duplicated across inboxes, servers, and backups. And I think that using fewer images, avoiding heavy attachments, and sticking to simple system fonts helps reduce data transfer. And as a bonus, this choice also improves accessibility and email delivery. And I really, really recommend following these tips. Um, and yeah, another set of simple but effective practice we can do, uh, it involves digital cleanup. This is so important. Just as we clean physical spaces, we should do the same with our digital spaces too. And that includes practices such as unsubscribing from newsletters we no longer read, deleting all emails, and regularly removing duplicate or unused files. All this helps reduce unnecessary storage in data centers and processing into the delivery infrastructure. And yes, even doing a digital cleanup yearly can make a meaningful difference.
Mm.
Let's go to social media. So, for social media, format choice matters a lot. And video is one of the most data intensive formats we have. And especially when platforms autoplay content by default. And from a consumption perspective, a few simple practices can make really a difference. For example, avoid looping or auto replay videos. Uh, so please check your settings on platforms like YouTube, TikTok, and Instagram to ensure that autoplay is turned off. Choosing to consume also a static post and carousel more often instead of reel, shorts, or TikToks also helps reduce data use. And I feel like this is important because in the last couple of 5 years since pandemic hit, we've been consuming a lot of videos, but doing this, it's creating a cost in the environment. So make sure to try to apply those on your daily habits. And from a content creation and marketing perspective, the same principles applies. So when a message doesn't require video, I suggest using a static post or carousels because they can communicate just as effectively. And if video is needed, I would try to keep it short, avoid unnecessary high quality resolution. You can try to go with mid resolution and try to place the key message early. All this helps to reduce data demand. And there's a last step that, well, not step, sorry, a tip that it's important the part of use and maintenance side of these elements. Taking the time to review and remove older posts from from our social media channels is important. Check what no longer is relevant to your brand or audience because all this helps cut down on unnecessary storage and processing. It's a small everyday habit that turns regular content cleanup into an easy digital sustainability win. And this is so important because I feel like humans, we tend to create even emotional attachments to social media or digital spaces. And sometimes we forget that everything that we've been uploading into our personal accounts or into our school accounts, uh, every every picture, every video, it's building a space and storage in these data centers. So it's important to make that clean up practice from time to time. So we're now entering to the last topic I want to share with you, and that it's about websites. So let's go
Be-
into the
be-
next slide.
be- Before we go there,
Do Yeah,
Tati,
yeah,
I just want to emphasize something that John also brought up, and I know you're fully aware and have talked about this too, is that yes,
yes,
we are talking about the ecological footprint of these practices, but we're also
yes.
talking about social and emotional health and well-being, because that looping setting in particular is
Oh
what
yeah,
helps hook us into endless, mindless scrolling that
exactly.
many of us can get caught up in. And as we know, it's just I don't know if any of us leave that. And I've been a victim, as probably as many of you have, of minutes, if not hours of time that I got sucked into, feeling like, where did I just go? What did I just leave my life doing? And
Yes,
such a waste. And yeah, it can be a really dangerous place,
definitely.
especially for those of us that are sort of like have that tendency to get caught in that and are not as aware or thinking about it as much. But all of us are subject to
Yeah.
this. So
Yeah,
thank
and maybe I want to share a very personal experience.
please.
I tried just to to quit social media some time ago, and there are moments in my life or in my daily life where I just want to jump into watching TikToks or Reels, whatever it is, Instagram or TikTok. And to have this knowledge now, in terms of digital sustainability, I think to myself that every time I'm try to consume this type of content, I'm also helping somehow
Mm,
environment.
yeah.
And I feel like this is not to be um like close-minded and think that, oh no, I'm never going to use social media, but I work on this, so I'm managing accounts, and it's important for me to do something that can help to reduce also this type of efforts, because basically I'm working with social media all day. Why should I add more to environment with my own personal profiles?
Mm,
And I feel like that's something I really wanted to share. And it takes some time and to create new habits. But yeah, I just wanted to share that because it hasn't been easy. It's not like that. I
mm,
grew up with technology, and that's the true. I'm a zillennial,
mm,
so it has been a hard to, I don't know, to apply to my daily life, but it has been worth it.
mm.
And yeah, I just wanted to share
Thank you.
that with you guys.
Oh, I love
Yeah,
that.
so
Thank you, Tati. And I know you're going to speak now about websites, and not all of us on the call are managing websites, but we do know our website people, or we have connections to people who are managing our websites. So this will be really good information for
yes.
people as they think about that as well.
Yes, this is really important. And in terms of websites, first of all, when it comes to website design or website management, um, I want to highlight uh, how really important this is, because websites accumulate unused images, videos, and assets over time. And this makes the page weight to increase, and this translates to more energy use. So, doing regular website audits as marketing teams or communications teams inside schools, it's really important. We need to make sure that we have image optimization, we're using simple fonts or limiting animations inside the website structures, because this helps to reduce the resource demand. And also it's helpful to check where your website is hosted. um, I'm gonna share some tools with you inside this presentation. But there are some tools that you can use to know if your website is running on renewable energy. And I feel like that's really awesome that we have this type of resources, and these tools even provide badges that you guys can display inside your websites to signal your commitment with digital sustainability. So
Mm,
that has been like a really interesting also um practice we've been doing inside GSNN. And I do remember that the last year we did some audits inside our website, and we decided to delete some pages that were no longer relevant to us. And I feel like those small practices can really make a difference in terms of storage and energy use. And from the user side, when navigating websites, please, as John mentioned, enable dark mode where available, because this helps reduce energy demand during browsing. And my last thoughts on this that I want to share. Can we go to the next? Yeah, the next. Sorry, those are the tools. Yeah. This is my conclusion, and for me, this is the connect point. Lower energy use in digital systems leads to lower associated CO2 emissions, because electricity at the end still has carbon intensity. And as a consequence, when we're doing this, we also reduce water consumption, since data centers heavily rely rely heavily on cooling. And these digital choices I feel that it's important to keep in mind that they connect directly to climate and water impacts. And I know the conversation around data centers and water use and AI has grown a lot in the recent years, but definitely digital sustainability isn't only about AI. It also includes all these practices we've been discussing today because everything adds up. And I, I really think about that it's important to talk about these daily habits we're taking in our everyday life because AI, it's sometimes we think this is only about AI, and that's where I want to go. And when we discuss about digital sustainability, we shouldn't forget about all these habits we've been building for decades right now. So I wanted to share that, and I wanted to thank you for your time and attention. And well, I hope these examples help spark more intentional digital choices in your daily work. I wish we could do, so much discussion here. I know we have a very brief time, but yeah, I just wanted to share that and say thank you.
So good. Thank you, Tati. That was excellent. I appreciate both you and John speaking to this topic and all the good information that's related to it. Um, for our time today, we have just a few minutes before the top of the hour, and so, but we'd love to hear from some of you and maybe some strategies that you're using, some ideas, or a takeaway that you might have had. Several of you I know that we have some new people in here too today, so. Somebody want to jump in? What's a takeaway or a thought you're having about like either a strategy you have used, you want to use, things you just heard from Tati and John?
I can jump in, Dave.
Yeah,
I
please,
just want to
Ellie.
say thank you for sharing this. It's definitely something that, as a system, I don't think we've considered. In the school district, we have so much duplicate information that we're storing, um, and everyone's creating content all the time. I don't know, which is part of how we interact with our community, but this is just a layer that I don't know that most people have considered. Um,
Mhm.
so I think I'll send the recording to we have a um, green team lead from our IT department. So I think I will probably send it there. Maybe we can have some conversation follow up.
Thank, thanks, Allie. I love that. And Allie, just tell people, because not everybody knows you, where you are and your role too.
Oh, sure. I'm Allie Ward. I'm the sustainability supervisor here in Boise, Idaho for the Boise School District. So we have 52 schools and I serve a little over 20,000 students here in Boise. So we're the second largest district in our state, but I know that's maybe small compared to some states.
That's great though. Thank you, Allie. Well, Clark, I want to hear from you. She's at a even a larger district than you, Allie, but please introduce yourself, Clark, and share some of your thoughts.
Hi, everybody. I'm Clark Sipes, and Director of Sustainability with Loudoun County Public Schools in Virginia. We're about an hour west of DC. And actually, my daughter
Oh, hi.
has also been listening. And one of my big takeaways, I put a little bit in the chat, but this is hugely relevant for our kids too, and especially here in Loudoun County. We are known as Data Center Alley. 70% of the world's internet runs through Loudoun County, Virginia. And our kids are constantly asking questions and exploring those questions around the impact of data centers in our communities because they drive past them every day. And I have been working on trying to build up some curriculum that helps them to explore those questions and bringing in this piece of it of very actionable steps that they can take as individuals, and then the cumulative impact of those steps, right, at scale. It's just, oh my goodness, thank you. Like, this is wild, and I'm going to take every single piece of it and use it from here on out. So thank you guys so much.
Oh, you're welcome, Clark. I sure hope that you weren't driving and watching the whole time, Clark, but we're glad you're
I was
here.
listening. We just parked.
Okay.
I was listening.
Okay. Okay. Good. Good. Let's hear from a couple other folks. We just have time for maybe a two or three more. Anybody else want to share some highlights or things you want to take away? Your strategies?
I'd love to just follow up with what Clark just shared. That was exactly what was going through my mind. We know the students here down here in Miami-Dade County, they have a lot of curriculum on digital citizenship, but mostly focuses on safety, ethical use, security. But we don't hear a lot about this idea of digital sustainability or some of these tactics and tips that John and Tati shared today. And even just even that the health piece, right? Like you were talking about in simple things that you can do with students, especially adolescents, some of the young middle school, high school students, just that autoplay. I'm sure they find themselves in that loop of just watching, and just as adults we feel like when we pause in that moment we realize we wasted a lot of time. How can I do something that's proactively going to address that? And so something as simple as turning off that autoplay gets them to, they would have to be going in and actively pressing play for that to keep going. That might be that moment that they put it aside and realize they need to get focused back on their task at hand. But I, my, I'm taking notes. I'm like enthralled with all of these different tips for myself, but also definitely thinking about, our school district at large and how some of this can transfer into some of that curriculum as well. So thank you.
Awesome.
Thank you both.
Awesome. Thank you. Thank you, Sarah. Greg, I saw your hand there. Good to see you, Greg. Glad. Thanks for being on.
Yeah, good to see you guys. Thank you for this session. It's awesome. I was thinking of some of the stuff that we've been thinking about. And I think one of the coolest parts is when you let the students kind of run with it. And after they get this information, they always have these great questions, these brilliant ideas. And we started talking about this kind of in the emergence of AI, especially around resource management with our students. And what does that mean to be asked to do an assignment using AI as a tool in the class? And a lot of them were like, hey, aren't we focused on sustainability? Why are you telling us to use this tool that's bad for the environment? And we actually had a student who is building out in our computer science program an in-house AI server that we could use on our own campus that we get to vet now the materials that are on it. It's not web access, but it's documents that we've vetted, textbooks, resources for our school. And we're powering it through our off-grid building. So it's solar powered AI. So
Mm,
the the student really put all these pieces together to come up and address these major issues. Is it as
mm,
powerful as ChatGPT 5.0? Like, no, but it's now a tool that can be used within the school for school purposes, supported by the school, running off grid. Um, and it's this cool thing that maybe will light the fire for the next kid to have an idea. And then if we can start taking the lead from these students and implementing them student or school wide, well, now that's where the excitement really happening is, can start happening. I mean, I think the other thing that an interesting side conversation around, the use of technology, the phones, the scrolling, and everything. Our middle school just went phone free,
mm.
so that is out of the hands of students for the whole school day. As soon as they walk on campus and until they leave, we don't allow them to have their phones, and they in fact have to put them away in a lock pouch so that it's kind of out of sight, out of mind. And we talk about this having the social emotional impacts, the change in behavior, happiness, play,
Mm,
interactions, eyes up, all those
mm,
things. It's just been huge, and we've only been doing it now for 4 or 5 months, but it's had a massive impact social emotionally, and it has all these great sustainability impacts as well.
mm. Yeah, thanks for that, Greg. Yeah, I know that it was happening here in Boise. Allie can tell you like that's in a whole district and sounds like the whole state of Virginia as well and other places. Um, so thank you all. Such good points. We're almost at the closing time. I did want to say, Greg, uh, tell us your school so people know where you are. You didn't mention that, but it's a place that you all want to go and visit. I'll just say that.
Sorry. Yeah, so I'm the director of sustainability at Hawaii Preparatory Academy. We're a K-12 independent day boarding school on the Big Island of Hawaii.
Yeah. They're doing some amazing things, and Greg has helped to frame a really powerful, good work. Um, Thank you all for being on today. I want to just share some final words and thoughts. Or Sarah, do you want to jump in? I'm going to put the slide deck back on just for our closing.
Yeah, just a reminder. Again, thank you for all of our family/guests that came on to share all this amazing stuff. We do have a few upcoming events. We talked about it when we started that Green Schools Conference. For those of you that don't know, this is where educators, industry professionals, experts come together. This is all about advancing sustainability and education. It's an amazing couple of days. But if you can't make it and it's not an option for you to travel over to San Diego for those days, we like to turn around a couple weeks later and bring the conference to you at our Catalyst Leaders meeting, which will be on March 4th. So if you don't get a chance to attend, or if you want to attend both, we definitely invite you to our session that will be on that March 4th, so we can bring back some of the key takeaways from the conference. We don't have it listed here, but we also want to remind you to be on the lookout for the Green Spark, which is coming in April. This is our virtual showcase, all student-centered, student-focused, students from across the nation coming in to share some of the amazing work and project that they've been doing in the field in sustainability. And we already started working with some of those. Thank you to those of you that helped to nominate students and green teams and classrooms across your districts. We have a phenomenal group that are going to be joining us that day, and they need an audience. So we want to see you all there to support them, even if it's going to be several hours. You'll be getting this information. So even if you can only pop in for 30 minutes, 45 minutes, just to show support and be an audience member and hear some of what these students have done in their area and sustainability, and we'd love to have you. So keep an eye out for that, for the Green Spark. A lot of stuff, a lot of emails and marketing, although not too much, right? Now we have to be No, we have to be careful. We will be sending out, we want to put it on your radar. And of course, we love your feedback. This helps guide our sessions, future sessions for you. So if you could take a minute and scan that QR code and provide us with some of that feedback, and we'll be sure to read it over and let it inform what we offer you moving forward. And thank you for taking your hour this afternoon, this Thursday, to be with us, to learn, and hopefully you found some great information that you can put into practice. Thank you, guys.
Thank you, Sarah. Thank you all the presenters, and thank you all for being here today. Enjoy the rest of your afternoon.
Much. Nice to meet you, everyone. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Did you stop recording, Sarah?